So now we shall be starting with remuneration of directors and managerial remuneration. Now let us understand about them. So firstly we have the Act provides certain provisions to make the managerial remuneration with reasonable limits and also transparent. The issue of managerial remuneration has been discussed in various provisions of the Act. These provisions are applicable to a public company and a private company, which is subsidiary of a public company but not to the other private company. The person holding the managerial position would be entitled to receive managerial remuneration. Therefore, we must know the term managerial position. However, this term has not been defined in the Act. There are certain provisions, example sections 197 in the Act, which suggests that directors, statutory manager, managing director, or full-time director are the person holding managerial positions. Hence, the term managerial remuneration refers to remuneration payable to managers or directors, which includes managing director or whole-time director. But it does not include the salary payable to executives who do not form part of the board of directors. The managerial remuneration may be in the form of monthly payment, salary, or specified percentage of net profits, or a commission, or in the form of sitting fee for attending the board meeting. The term remuneration explained in the explanation to section 197(4) of the Act. Ordinarily, the directors have no rights to receive remuneration unless it is sanctioned by the articles or by a resolution. So, we can understand about managerial remuneration that it should be in reasonable limits. Whatever remuneration is being paid to the directors, it should be reasonable and also transparent. That is, every person who is associated with the company should be knowing about this, about the remuneration. And the managerial remuneration has been discussed in various provisions of the Act. And these provisions are applicable to a public and a private company, which is subsidiary of a public company but not the other private companies. So the holding company also will have to receive managerial remuneration. So we must know the term managerial position. So this definition has not been explained in the Act, but we can suggest or we can understand that managing director shall contain of directors or statutory manager, managing director or whole-time director, and the person who are holding managerial position. Hence the term managerial remuneration. So, it does not include the salary payable to executives who do not form the part of the board of directors. Then next we have managerial remuneration may be in the form of monthly payments, salary, or specified percentage of net profits or commission, or in the form of sitting fees. Means what? There are certain directors who come and who give their opinion, who help the company in growing, and they are not full time or they are not completely available in the company. So they are paid sitting fees for attending the board meetings. Then the term remuneration has been explained that ordinarily, the directors have no right to receive remuneration unless it is sanctioned by the articles or by a resolution. The directors would be entitled to remuneration if articles so stipulate by passing a special resolution at the general meeting of the company. Moreover, they are not treated as servants as they are entitled and not employed. A director or a manager may be paid remuneration either by way of a monthly payment or at a specified percentage of the net profits of the company, or partly by one way and partly by the other. In case of a public company, various restrictions are there on remuneration payable to managing director, full-time director to manager. However, there are more restrictions on remuneration in case of a private company. The remuneration includes salary, dearness allowance for visits, commission, and other allowances. Contribution to PF, gratuity, superannuation, encashment of leave, and traveling allowance are included in the term perquisites. So we can understand from this that if it is a public company, there are various restrictions on remuneration payable to the managing director or whole-time director or manager. So there are more restrictions on remuneration in case of a private company, and remuneration includes salary, dearness allowance, perquisites, commission, other allowances, whatever is specified by the company, and contribution to gratuity, the provident fund, superannuation, encashment of leave, education and travelling allowance, all are included in the term perquisites. Perquisites means what? Additional amount which is available over the salary, which is included in the salary, but which is given for some allowances by the company for the directors. Then remuneration, if a person is working in more than one companies. A managing director or a whole-time director is entitled to get remuneration from two companies. In such case, total remuneration received by him should not be more than the maximum limit admissible from in any one of the companies when he is working as managerial person. This restriction is applicable to both profit-making and non-profit making companies. So, where a person is a whole-time director or a managing director is entitled to get remuneration for two companies. In such case, the total remuneration received by him should not be more than the maximum limit admissible in the form of one of the companies where he is working as a managerial person. So this restriction shall be applicable to both profit-making and non-profit making companies. Remuneration in case of profit-making company. If the company is making profits, the maximum remuneration payable is 5% of the net profits. However, in case there are more than one managing director or whole-time directors, the total managerial remuneration should not exceed 10% of the net profits of the company. Section 197(1) and Section 198. It should be noted that above mentioned limit of 10% does not apply to manager if he is not a director. Remuneration in case company is making losses. The ceiling on minimum remuneration is specified in Part 2 of Schedule 5 of the Act of 2013 in case company is making losses. Provision relating to managerial remuneration. Maximum managerial remuneration. The total managerial remuneration payable by a public company or a private company, which is a subsidiary of a public company, to its directors and its manager in respect of any financial year shall not exceed 11% of its net profits of that company for that financial year. However, remuneration payable to the director shall not be deducted from the gross profits of the company. So, now let us understand about provisions relating to managerial remuneration. Now, what shall be the maximum remuneration which shall be given? So, it shall not be more than 11% of the net profits of that company, and remuneration payable to directors shall not be deducted from the gross profits of the company. While computing the above mentioned 11% amount, the fees payable to the directors for attending board meetings shall not be included. So the fees which is paid to the directors for attending board meetings shall not be included under Section 197. Then next we have remuneration to directors. Now remuneration must be determined as per Section 197 and in accordance with articles or by resolution or by a special resolution passed by the company in the general meeting. And the remuneration payable to such director determined as aforesaid shall be inclusive of the remuneration payable to such director for services rendered by him in any other capacity except where the services are of a professional nature and be in opinion of the central government, the director poses the requisite qualifications for the practice of the profession. So next is remuneration of directors. Now remuneration shall be determined as per Section 197 and in accordance with articles or by resolution or by a special resolution passed by the company in the general meeting, and the remuneration payable to such director shall be determined and be inclusive of remuneration payable to director for services rendered by him in any other capacity, where the services, firstly the services are of professional nature, secondly they are of opinion that the central government, the director possesses the requisite qualifications for the practice of that profession. Then next is manner of payment of remuneration. A director who is either in the whole-time employment of the company or a managing director may be paid remuneration either by way of a monthly payment or at a specified percentage of the net profits of the company, or partly by one way and partly by other. However, without the approval of the central government, such remuneration shall not exceed 5% of the net profits for one such director. If there is more than one such director, 10% for all of them together. So the manner of payment of remuneration. A director who is in whole-time employment of the company or managing director may be paid remuneration either by way of a monthly payment or at a specified percentage of the net profits, whatever is decided. However, the remuneration which the central government decides shall not be beyond 5%, and net profits for one such director, if there is not more than one director, then 10% for all of them together shall be given. A director who is neither in whole-time employment of the company nor managing director may be paid remuneration by fixing a particular period of receiving remuneration or by way of commission, but it should not exceed 1% of the net profits of the company. If the company has a managing or a whole-time director or a manager, 3% of the net profits of the company. In any other case, it is possible for the company through the general meeting to authorize the payment of such remuneration at a rate exceeding 1%, or as the case may be, 3% of its net profits. However, central government's approval is necessary for such an arrangement. If a company has no profits if its profits are inadequate, then the company cannot pay any remuneration to its manager, managing director or whole-time director without the approval of the central government. So, who is not in full-time employment of the company may be paid remuneration by fixing a particular period. It may be for 1 month, it may be for 3 months, it may be 6 months or anything. And for that, the amount shall not exceed 1% of the net profits of the company. If the company has a managing or a whole-time director, then 3% of the net profits of the company in all the other cases. So it is not possible for a company through the general meeting to authorize the payment of such remuneration at a exceeding rate 1%, or as the case may be 3% of its net profits. However, central government's approval is necessary to such an arrangement. If a company has no profits or if its profits are inadequate, then the company cannot pay remuneration to its manager, managing director or whole-time director without the approval of the central government. Section 196 and Schedule 5 has laid down provisions for the purpose of appointment and remuneration of a manager personnel without the approval of the central government. So, we can understand that if the company has not made profits or not adequate, then the company can not pay any remuneration to its manager or managing director. And the provisions are made with a view to reduce governmental control over the functioning of the companies. This change was made in the light of economic reforms undertaken by India. Hence, companies can now make payment of remuneration without the approval of the government, especially in the years when there were no or only inadequate profits. In such situation of no profits and inadequate profits, 3 schemes of alternatives have been given in Part 2 of Schedule 5. Central government or company to fix a limit with regard to remuneration. The company has a power to fix the remuneration for directors within the limits specified in this Act. This means that it can lower the upper limit for remuneration fixed by the provisions of this Act. While doing this, the government will have to take into consideration the following aspects: the financial position of the company, then the remuneration on occasion on commission drawn by the individual concerned in any other capacity, the remuneration or commission drawn by him or from any other company, professional qualifications and experience of the individuals concerned, such other matters as may be prescribed. So the central government or a company to fix the regard, the company has the power to fix the remuneration for directors within the limit specified in the act. Then it can specify the lower limit and the upper limit for remuneration, the financial position of the company, then the remuneration on commission drawn by the individual concerned in any other capacity, the remuneration or commission drawn by him from any other company, professional qualifications and experience of the individual, and such other matters as may be prescribed by the government. Then provisions regarding the managerial remuneration contained in Schedule 5. The rules regarding the remuneration payable to managerial personnel are provided in Part 2 of Schedule 5, which are as under. Section 1. Remuneration payable by companies having profits. Subject to the provisions of Section 197, a company having profits in a financial year may pay remuneration to a managerial person for or persons not exceeding the limit specified in such section. Section 2. Remuneration payable by companies having no profits or inadequate profits without central government's approval. So first, in the first section we have seen about payable by companies having profits. If they are having profits, then they can distribute provided they are not allowed to exceed beyond the limit specified by the act. Then next, remuneration payable by companies having no profit or inadequate profit, where in any financial year during the currency of tenure of a managerial person, a company has no profits or its profits are inadequate, it may, without central government's approval, pay remuneration to the managerial person not exceeding the higher of the limits under A and B given below. So where the effective capital is negative or less than 5 crores, limit of the yearly remuneration payable shall not exceed 30 lakhs. Rupees 5 crores and above but less than 100 crores, then 42 lakhs. Rupees 100 crores and above but less than rupees 250 crores, rupees 60 lakhs. Rupees 250 crores and above 60 lakhs plus 0.1% of effective capital in excess of rupees 250 crore. Provided that the above limit shall be doubled if the resolution passed by the shareholders is a special resolution. Explanation. It is hereby clarified that for a period less than 1 year, the limits shall be prorated. In case of a managerial person who has who was not a security holder holding securities of the company of a nominal value of rupees 5 lakh or more, or an employee or a director of the company, or not related to any director or promoter of any company during the 2 years prior to his appointment as managerial person, 2.5% of the current relevant profit, provided that if the resolution passed by the shareholder is a special resolution, this limit shall be doubled. Further, that the time limit specified under the section shall apply if payments of remuneration is approved by a resolution passed by the board, and in the case of a company covered under subsection 1 of section 178, also by the nomination and remuneration committee. The company has not made any default in repayment of any of its debts, including public deposits or debentures or interest payable thereon for a continuous period of 30 days in the preceding financial year before the date of appointment of such managerial person. A special resolution has been passed at the general meeting of the company for payment of remuneration for a period not exceeding 3 years. A statement along with a notice calling the general meeting referred in clause 3 is given to the shareholders containing the following information, namely general information, name of industry, date or expected date of commencement of commercial production. In case of new companies, expected date of commencement of activities as per project approved by the financial institutions appearing in the prospectus, financial performance based on given indicators, foreign investments or collaborations if any. Information about the appointee. Background details, past remuneration, recognition or rewards, job profile and his suitability, remuneration proposed, comparative remuneration profile with respect to industry size of the company, profile of the position and person. In case of ex parties, the relevant details would be with respect to the country of his origin, pecuniary relationship directly or indirectly with the company, or a relationship with the managerial personnel, if any, other information, reasons of loss or inadequate profits, steps taken or proposed to be taken for improvement, expected increase in productivity and profits in measurable terms. Disclosures. The following disclosures shall be mentioned in the Board of Directors report under the heading Corporate Governance, if any, attached to the financial statement. All the elements of a remuneration package such as salary, benefits, bonus, stock operation or stock options, pension, etc. of all the directors, details of fixed component and performance-linked incentives along with the performance criteria, service contracts, notice period, servants fees, the stock option details if any, and whether the same has been issued at a discount as well as the period over which accrued and over which exercisable. So here we can understand that when a person is calling or statement of general notice is being sent, in that the following information shall be stated about this information and his details shall be sent to shareholders so that they know about the whatever is happening or whatever is required in the company, and they come prepared during the general meeting of the company. Then remuneration payable by companies having no profits or inadequate profits without central government's approval in certain special circumstances. So in the following circumstances, a company may without the central government's approval pay remuneration to the managerial person in excess of the amounts provided in section 2 above, where the remuneration in excess of limits specified in section 1 or 2 is paid by any other company, and that other company is either a foreign company or has got the approval of its shareholders in the general meeting to make such payments, and treats his amount as managerial remuneration for the purpose of section 197 of the total managerial remuneration payable by such other company to its managerial persons, including such amount or amounts, is within permissible limits under section 197. So the remuneration is payable in excess of the limits specified in section 1 and 2 and is paid by any other company, and the other company is either a foreign company or has got approval of the shareholders in the general meeting to make such payments and treat this amount as managerial remuneration. Then, where the company is a newly incorporated company for a period of 7 years from the date of its incorporation, or is a sick company for whom a scheme of revival or rehabilitation has been ordered by the Board for Industrial and Financial Reconstruction or National Company Law Tribunal for a period of 5 years from the date of sanction of the scheme of revival. It may pay remuneration up to 2 times the amount paid permissible under section 2. Where remuneration of the managerial person exceeds the limits inside section 2, but the remuneration has been fixed by the Board for Industrial and Financial Reconstruction or the National Company Law Tribunal, provided that the limits under this section shall be applicable subject to meeting all conditions specified under section 2, and the following additional conditions. Except as provided in para A of this section, the managerial person is not receiving remuneration from any other company. The auditor or the company secretary of the company where the company has not appointed a secretary in whole-time practice certifies that all the secured creditors and term lenders have stated in writing that they have no objection for the appointment of a managerial person as well as the quantum of remuneration, and such certificate is filed along with the return as prescribed under subsection 4 of section 196. The auditor of the company secretary, or where the company has not appointed a secretary in full-time practice certifies that there is no default on payments to any creditors and all dues to deposit holders are being settled on time. A company in special economic zones as notified by the Department of Commerce from time to time, which has not raised any money by public issue of shares or debentures in India and has not made any default in India in repayment of any of its debts, including public deposits or debentures or interest payable thereon for a continuous period of 30 days in any financial year, may pay remuneration to up to rupees 2 crore 40 lakhs per annum. So here we can understand about the conditions which are specified and what are the additional conditions with section 2 of this act. Now from the next class we shall be starting about section 4, perquisites not included in managerial remuneration.